Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Heartwell Dev stream, the live stream series where we continue to develop this adorable Souls-like action RPG with platforming mechanics and a branching narrative. If you find these dev streams interesting or helpful, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and boop that bell button to stay notified. Hello Copper Nicholson, thanks for dropping by, how's it going? So, obviously when we last left off, we were working on some more attack animations for various weapons in Dorothy, and you know, even just looking back at our progress in the past couple of dev streams, we made some great progress here. I mean, just look at this. Like, when we first started, you know, working on these new attack animations, only this portion up here was actually here, because that's from the player animations. And now we have a wide variety of different weapons with different attacks. It's all pretty cool. However, I see you're working on your Discord server image. Okay, makes sense. Now, anyway, what I was going to say is, while I was originally thinking of working on more artworks tonight, a thought came across my mind. We need, like, the #1 piece of feedback I got from the Heartwell demo that has not been addressed yet is making the playable window larger. So that way we can increase readability of all the lore that's in the game, as well as just make it easier to see everything, since you can even see right here, it's Dorothy may be adorable, but all the artwork is also pretty small. So, now, those who know about Fusion 2.5 will know that one of its biggest limitations is that it doesn't have, like, any good way to stretch the screen to fit the window. So what we'll be working on tonight is the start of a long process to essentially develop a way to, I would say, about double the window size. So because of that, we're actually not going to be spending too much time here, or perhaps even any time here at all. We're actually going to be doing some programming tonight. So up here, you know, we have the Heartwell Fusion 2.5's open. You know, this is, you know, the entire application we have here. However, I've created a new application. You see here, I haven't even done anything with it yet. The idea is that we're going to use this application essentially as a test, a way to start working with a way to basically we'll use this as a way to, again, keeping this separate from the main file for the time being, as a way to test like different full screening options. So that way we can have a safe area to actually try to develop things, work out anything that doesn't quite work. And then once we have like the base code, if you will, for resizing the window properly, at that point, then we'll go back to the Heartwell proper and try to identify everything that will be impacted by this code, since there will be things that will be impacted by this code. As an example, I'll actually pull this up just as a brief aside. So you'll notice, chat, here, one second. Need to turn off the music for a second since we're in the demo. So, you'll notice, chat, that if I were to open up the manifest, okay, we have the manifest open. I mean, obviously I have a lot of levels here just I was doing a lot of testing. But one thing that's kind of was the way the manifest is programmed is if I like these buttons, for example, these aren't like actual active objects. They're like unique buttons. I mean, these are, but this isn't. This is actually an animation for the manifest in the background, and it doing like that. That's all animation. Now, how do I actually get to program where if my mouse is in the right space, it actually does that? That's by a coordinate system. And unfortunately, the coordinate system, I mean, the MFA file, Copper Nicholson, is my, you know, it's my property. I'm not going to willy-nilly share the MFA file because it's, you know, I'm still working on this game. So if you're going to try and find some way to mod Heartwell, that's gonna be on you, buddy. I'm not sharing the MFA file. I've got a lot of work to do with it. So now, anyway, as I was saying, while this works, like having basically the essentially a coordinate system to adjust the location of this, there's one drawback to that. When I was programming it that way, and same thing with like switching tabs, like all this is done from a coordinate system. It's like, I think it's from like the top left of the manifest, or maybe the top left corner of the screen, but The one challenge with that is that in this situation where we actually need to change the frame size, and you might say, what's a frame size? So, not the frame size, the window size. So the window size is the viewable window you see here. So like, if I move my mouse all the way to the left here, that's the left edge of the window. If I move it to the right, that's the right edge of the window. Top and bottom and so forth. So that's, right now, I think it's somewhere in like the 800s by 400, something like that. And unfortunately, like I did that originally to try and give a bit more viewable space for ranged attacks, but unfortunately the problem with that window size, it is just barely larger than half of what typical computer monitor sizes would be. It might say, okay, Antomicx, what's the big deal? So what if it's a little more than half of what most computer sizes would be? Well, the reason for that is that if I were to try and resize this window, so that it would be more viewable, I would have to do it in increments that are integers. So basically, like, if I tried to resize this window by like a factor of 1.5, it would look really weird, because everything you see here is raster graphics, and raster graphics cannot be resized. Well, they'll only look okay resized if you increase them in increments of integers, because they can't, you can't have like half a graphic or anything like that, or half a pixel. So if I were to try and resize it by 1.5, like maybe the middle would get stretched, it would look really weird. But if I were to resize it by a factor of 2, on the other hand, then it would look basically like this, just zoomed in quite a bit. But yeah, so as I was saying, anyway, so as I was saying, if we want to make this be able to get viewable within the limitations of our Fusion 2.5 software, without, mind you, affecting graphical quality, then we have to change the window size to be small enough so that when it's doubled, it's able to. So when it's doubled, the window will still fit within a person's normal screen size. Because if I were to just double this screen size, the left edge, the right edge, and probably the top and bottom edges would go off screen, and we'd be left with, you know, a horrid mess at that point. However, you know, some ramifications of that is if we do change the window size, I mean, there is so much code that's impacted by the window size that I would have to actually take some time to go through the code, like line by line, and identify all those places and determine, you know, is there a negative impact, and if so, what do we need to do? And one of those impacts is actually here with the manifest, because right now the manifest is nice and centered. But the unfortunate thing is, as I was programming this earlier, is that because it's all centered around specific locations, if I want the manifest to be nice and centered in the new window size, I'm going to have to essentially redo all the code that involves the positioning of different locations of buttons. So that's going to be a challenge, quite a bit of a challenge. But yeah, converting code from hard code values to variables is rough. Exactly, Nimelock. Also, thanks for dropping by. How's it going, by the way? Welcome. But on the flip side, though, we can also see this as an opportunity, because the manifest code, well, the code for this menu is one of the oldest things in the Heartwell code. So obviously, it has the most room for improvement and optimization. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Nimelock. Well, I hope you're able to at least relax tonight and enjoy the stream. We're here for you. So, what was I saying? Okay, so what I'm saying is this is actually an opportunity, because this is, I know for a fact in my head that there's a lot of room for optimization with the manifest, and who knows, maybe I'll even slightly improve performance if we're able to do that. Since I've learned a lot of lessons over the 3 years that I took to make the Heartwell demo. But anyway, I think that's enough chatter about the theory behind this. Let's get into the actual programming that's necessary for this. So let's put back on the music. and hop right to it. As always, whenever we're taking on any big task, the very first thing you want to do is plan. And the reason you want to plan is to kind of empty your mind so that it can focus on the task at hand by thinking about what needs to be accomplished. So first things first, we're going to create the ability to increase the magnification. Well, increase the Heartwell Demo window size by 2x while... That's pretty good. Indeed. Well, Copper Nicholson, that might be more fun like in the moment, but when you're working on like a long-term project, planning is absolutely everything. It'll make everything go a lot smoother. It'll help you achieve your vision, set goals, and start working towards a longer-term thing. That's just been my experience. So that's why we're taking the time to, again, write stuff out like this, because it's all of this that we're writing here. I mean, we have 66 pages of it at this point. This is just notes from the Heartwell dev stream. This happens a lot. Code suffers so much if you didn't plan, have to change things as you go. Exactly. And as I've gotten more into developing Heartwell, I've started trying to program things in a way so that they can be changed later. So like using lots of variables and things like that. I just wish I had done that, earlier in the process so that situations like this would not take nearly as much time. But that's where we're at. So let's take the opportunity to refine what we have. So creating the ability to increase the Heartwell by 2x while still having the playable window edges be visible in greater than 90% of standard computer monitor sizes. So make sure that it takes way longer to alter code to add things than they would if you just wrote the code with them in mind in the first place. Exactly. So with that in mind, there are a couple of major steps to this goal here. Just this is like the broad goal. This is the end state. But how do we get there? The very first thing we need to do is identify the window sizes that we should be aiming for. Should be trying, that we need to change the Heartwell window to. Now, the good news on that is I wrote some notes in my main development document about that, but that document contains a lot of spoilers. So I'll be pulling that up on a different device so that I can find my notes on that. But once we have that information, the next thing we'd have to do is create a program using the ultimate Fullscreen Object, or I should say that allows us to resize a window to 2x. The program must include some pixel art from Heartwell in order to demonstrate that there is no stretching / tearing when the window size is increased. Off the top of your head, you say things that are likely to change by the window size changing is the manifest AI, as you talked about the main menu, aiming attacks along with the circle you've clicked and doing attacks. Okay, so those are some interesting points. So you're right about the manifest will definitely need to be altered. Well, not the programming itself, just the locations of things will need to be altered, and that could take a while. The main menu would also need to be altered because right now it just barely fits on screen. Had the windows made smaller, then obviously that's going to affect things. Though ironically, that circle you're mentioning, that invisible circle that switches between melee and range, that's actually not tied to the window size at all. It's tied directly instead to an active object that I've created. So let me pull it up here. So if we go over here to the left, it's this circle right here. When like this circle is always, it's invisible, but it's always around Dorothy, and this is actually what determines whether it's a melee or ranged attack. So this would be the exact same regardless of what I changed the window to. Yep. Yep, it's totally not invisible circle. That was like the easiest way I found to be able to do this, because unfortunately I'm not allowed to I don't think there's any code that can let me define a zone that's circular. So like when I can't just hard code this in, because if I did try to hard code it, it would be a square, not a circle. And we all know if you play crosscode, it's a circle that's a circular radius that determines that, not a square radius. So I wanted to feel like that, hence we have an object for that. Now, that being said, planning. So the program must include some pixel art from Heartwell in order to demonstrate that there is no stretching or tearing when the window size is. The window at 2x size must still have the toolbar visible. And finally, the code must be simple enough to be importable into the Heartwell demo as a group of events. All right, so once we've done that, we're not going to immediately bring it into the Heartwell demo because we have a different thing to do, and this is more identification. So put checking against the Pythagorean theorem also lets you make it a circle, but this also works. Depends on whether a bit of math or another flowing object would impact performance more. So, I mean, here's the thing, Ninemlot. Think of it like this. If I'm like playing Heartwell and I'm moving my mouse around constantly, and I have to like do a calculation to constantly to determine whether or not it's in a location, I think that would take up a bit more processing space than just having an object there. It's like, oh, if it floating over objects, then this, if not, then that. Because in those cases, the only time the check is performed is when you're essentially moving from not being over the circle to being over the circle, or vice versa. Whereas if you do it with a math equation, then you're constantly checking against that math equation. That'd be my thought anyway. And the reason to be constantly checking against that math equation is just for the simple reason that the player's gonna be constantly moving the mouse. Would I describe Dorothy's headgear as a bandana or a headband? Great question. I would say it's most analogous to a headband in the sense that it's not like a sash you tie around your head. It's actually like one contiguous object. Is that making sense, Copper Nicholson? But yeah. So the next item is actually going to be more so some recon. And by recon, I mean examine every frame in Heartwell to determine what lines of code and document are impacted by a change in the window size. Make note of whether the impacted code needs coordinate values to be changed. such as the location of buttons in the manifest. For areas where coordinate values must be changed, calculate what the new coordinates should be. So that's how efficient the program at different tasks is. There actually is, I don't know where it is exactly, but someone made like a great guide for Clickteam Fusion 2.5 that explains exactly like how many like milliseconds certain actions or lines of code take in Fusion 2.5, so like give you an idea of like what takes a lot of programming space and what really doesn't. And it's actually, knowing the processing time of different actions is good. Yeah, and fun fact, it's actually that that very well put together detailed notes that led me to use arrays as the save file method, because what I learned from that page is that the save file array method uses way less processing power than the using any files would. You might say, what's an any file, what's an array? So basically an any file is like a text file that's used for saving information, whereas an array is like a three-dimensional, I would say like a three-dimensional grid that you can put values or strings into. And it was almost like a factor of 10 difference, if I remember correctly. And the reason that's so important is because Heartwell is an action RPG, so there's tons of variables that are constantly changing and need to be saved. And as a result, you need that information to be loaded and saved rapidly. Hence why I went with the array methods, even though saving them and actually identifying what's at specific values is a lot more obtuse in an array. So it's not nearly as obvious, because in any file, you could literally just open with a simple program and you can read what's in the any file. But with an array, that you can't do that. Like, the most you can do is ask the array to spit out a value at a specific coordinate, but all it's going to do is spit out the value. It's not going to tell you what the value is used for or anything like that. Like, in order to keep track of that, I basically have to keep a separate spreadsheet in my documents to make sure I know exactly what a specific array value is for. Because if I didn't do that, then I would have no idea where anything is. Now, make note whether it impacts the codes that various coordinate values must be changed. Think about what the practical implications of reducing the window size is, because it might not be inherently obvious what areas are affected. Look at the frames simply by looking at the code. Example, the main menu, buttons / save files are not necessarily affected by the window size directly, but if the window size is reduced, then some buttons would be off screen. In the current configure. Do you mean for mid-combat details? Altering save files shouldn't be common enough to add any overhead. So that's the thing. It is. I actually do need to use save files for combat, just because as a way to process some calculations more efficiently, or at least I used to. I might have altered that when I was doing the root work. You're also obliged to suggest making those coordinates as relative to the screen size instead of more hard-coded coordinates. Coordinates like 0.8 times window height. So let's see, try to make it relative to the screen size. I think it's, personally, I don't think just I agree with you to an extent, 9watt. I think if I had well, I mean, this is the opportunity. If I were to do it all over and consider, like, how would I program the relative locations of buttons, knowing today what I do now, I wouldn't necessarily hard code it to be like a multiplier, because it's going to be different depending on what the button is. Some buttons are a fit size. So instead, what I would do is I would try to create an equation for every single situation that would be something like AX plus B. And what this is actually something I do a lot with programming the stats in Heartwell. So X is obviously the alterable variable here, so it's still going to be dependent on was the player done, has the player collected certain keys, have they defeated a certain number of enemies, XP, yada yada. All right, and essentially elsewhere in my save file, I would have hard coded in values, but these are, like, you know, variables. So A would represent the multiplicative variable, and B would represent the additive variable. And with just such a simple equation like this, and thinking of variables like this gives me a really easy way to fine-tune changes when they arise, especially when it comes to stats or for weapon balancing or things like that, because if I determine, like, this, you know, I think I've got the general increment right for this, like, bonus from this one stat, but it feels like just the base stat itself is too low. I just increase B, done. On the other hand, it's like, okay, I've got doing read-write to the hard drive for mid-action details would definitely be rough on performance. Yeah, especially if it's, like, with various attacks and stuff. But on the other hand, if I want to increase, like, if I thought the base value was good, but, like, the increment was either too small or too large, then I just change A and it's done. And this is, anyway, that's enough about that, though. In a smaller window size, and they would no longer be centered. Okay. Once all impacted code areas and UI are identified, do the following. Identify whether any UI needs to be redesigned. Yep, just add variables, add modifiers like that. Your suggestion was just to keep in mind that you use the screen size as a variable rather than hard coding, say, 3 different types of coordinates or every button. So, okay, this gets back into the limitations of Fusion 2.5. So the thing about the screen size is it's not like the way Ultimate Fullscreen works, to my knowledge anyway, it's not actually just making the screen bigger but keeping, like, what you're viewing the same. It's actually resizing the window overall so that it can try and maintain some level of visual fidelity with the raster graphics. So what I'm basically saying is, if I were to program the Ultimate Fullscreen Object to have, like, a 2 times, like, make the screen twice as big or not, it's just gonna literally make everything twice as big. I don't need to hard code anything else into that. Like, it will just do that automatically, because it's effectively taking the application window and making it bigger, not just take, and by extension, literally everything in the application just gets bigger or smaller. Needs to be redesigned because it will not fit on screen. And determine these steps that need to be taken to implement that redesign. All right, now once we have done all these things, we move on to the next step. begin the process of implements the new window size pro code. So first things first, create a backup file of Heartwell before anything is changed related to window size, so that if there are any major problems, you can revert to the previous file. I see, I was talking about coordinates like the menu, having to adjust to string size. Exactly. So my difficulties have everything to do with positioning and nothing to do with stale. Because the stale will take care for itself as long as we're doing a scalar increase using the ultimate full screen object. Maybe add a file Heartwell for anything that's changed related to window size. So that alrighty. So we create a backup file. Then the next step would be change the window size of Heartwell's application file to the new window size that you calculated. Copy over the new window resizing code from the test application to every frame in Heartwell. Add the ultimate full screen objects to every frame in Heartwell. Then copy over the new window resizing code from the test application to each frame in Heartwell. From there, adjust all affected code to the new parameters you calculated. Indeed, backups are extremely important. I agree. That's also why when we're going to be creating this new like window resizing code, we're doing it as a separate application just to, again, keep it all safe and not risk affecting anything negatively. Yep. Just all affected codes to the new parameters you calculated. Actually, before we do that, copy over implement any UI/UI so that it is available for testing. Change in window size. Conduct a test of the various frames at the 2x window size. And finally, once all that's done, then I would say the last thing to consider is consider adding a button to the options menu that people can toggle to change the window size to 1x if they so choose. Okay. So I know it took a while just to write that all out, but you see, those of you who might be saying, why plan? Well, this is exactly why. This entire page of information might have been bouncing around in my head, confusing me or making me unsure of how to proceed. And also, there are like fine details here I might not have thought about if I hadn't started to write it out. Things like this or that. So by writing all this out, it allows us to focus our mind on what matters. And for now, we put our little to-do. We'll highlight that with yellow and bold to indicate that's where we're at in the process. Might want to default to 1x in case their screen is too small to get the button switch. I've had that trouble when changing resolution in games. So that is true. Let me ask you a hypothetical question though, Niamlock. There is like the whole opening to Heartwell with like that goes into some that has text to read. If we do everything correctly, like in terms of identifying the right window size, then there should not be a standard computer screen where that would be a thing. But I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, in my mind, when I sit down to play a game, I usually don't want to have to go into the options menu at all. But I guess that's also what options are for. I don't know. I guess that'd be something that would have to be tested once this is all programmed. Yeah. So I'd say first let's actually try to program the thing before we jump to what should the default be. But on that note, I do not want to make the UI difficult. In fact, I want to try and make it as simple as possible. What I'm saying is with the software I'm using, this is one area where the limitations of the software start to show. Yes, for many other types of programming software, this would not be a problem in the slightest. But just with the way everything's compiled in Fusion 2.5, this has been a long-running limitation. This simple string resizing. So, I think this will actually be a good spot to take our first break, chat. While we're on break, I'll go try and find my notes to identify the right window sizes, then we'll start doing some programming. So, don't worry guys, I will be right back. All right, chat. Welcome back, everyone. Nimlock mentions using dimension is both a boon and a curse. Some things being easier or harder depending on which dimension you choose. Exactly. And while I love Fusion 2.5 for its many benefits, especially with the ability to rapidly design and test levels, I recognize that this is one area where you're seeing a limitation come up. Thanks. So I did some research. So apparently I had I thought I had identified the notes on this, but apparently I had just written a note to look into this. So basically we're doing this from scratch. That's okay. I did go on to Doodle though, and I found some of the basically the most common string resolutions. So I'm going to write them out here. So identify common screen resolutions. So the most common screen resolutions. Namlock says, you remember actually pushing against the limits of Scratch back in high school. Oh, really? Do tell. So what kinds of things that you do, Namlock? I'd be interested to hear about that. Let's see here. 1920 by 1080. That's probably the most common one. Next is 1366 by 768, which is actually my screen resolution size. You tried to make Super Mario Bros. 1, but the enemy code got too complicated to actually manage. Ah, I see. All right. Where? At what point did the enemy code get too complicated? Was it just spawning in new enemies, or was it like? I have to imagine like Koopa Troopas, especially, must have been pretty tough because they have so many different situations they could be in. Let's see, 1536 X. 864 1280 by 720. Since several years, but you believe it was in collision detection without slowing the game to a crawl. Yeah, I find collision detection to be tough, and it's not just a scratch issue. I actually remember with like Clickteam Fusion 2.5, if you just try to use like the default games, like the default settings for like movement and such, you won't be able to really get that kind of fine level of detection. Like even with like, I'm sure those of you who played the Heartwell demo know that if you try to, you know, move Dorothy against a wall and then have Dorothy walk along that wall, it feels very smooth and you're not like getting stuck on anything. The only way to do that in Fusion 2.5 is by using fast loops. And that was basically something I had to essentially hard code in my own movement system. If I had tried to simply use the 8-directional movement available by default in Fusion 2.5, I would have ended up in situations where we would basically be getting stuck on any kind of wall. It would have sort of like this stickiness to this that you can't just undo. Okay, I think the last one was 1440 by 900. Now, we might be looking at these screen resolutions and you might say, okay, Antomicx, what's the big deal here? So the big deal here, and also this music, it's one of my favorite songs, I think Erosion by Drummer Boy. It's a fun song. Or a very sort of like a nice song that makes you think of like a nice rising sunlight head over an ocean in scenic view. Ooh, yeah, sticking on walls is a problem you quickly run into when doing wall code. Exactly. Need to master the art of vectors. Exactly. You must become one with the vectors. Okay. So, what we'll be doing, Copper Nicholson says the picture's almost done. As long as it, yeah, you can send me a DM, Copper Nicholson. In the meantime, we've done the first part, which is identify common screen resolutions. The next thing we need to do is identify what the... Well, actually, I'll just put this here. Current Heartwell window size. So if I go into Fusion, this will be a pretty easy thing to check. Go to the main application. The window size will be, there it is, 800 by 450. Now, already, chat, this is why I was saying you'll immediately see what the problem is, because the, obviously, if we were to double this, the only screen resolution that would be able to handle this of the common screen resolution sizes is 1920 by 1080. If you have anything else listed here, it'll go off screen. So that's why I was saying, like, in its current state, we're not hitting the majority of what screen resolution sizes could be, which is why we're doing this process. So what we're going to do, chat, is we are going to determine the various screen resolutions that would work for different Heartwell window sizes. For the common window sizes listed above. So, what we're seeing here, chat, what we're looking for are the smallest numbers. I'm pretty sure it's going to be this one. So 1280 by 720. In order to have a 2x magnification, I'm pretty sure we're going to need, it would basically be half of this. So, works for all windows would be, actually, now I'm thinking about it, it's not as simple as just cutting the window size in half, because if I were to run Heartwell, for example, it's not just the playable window, it's also the bar up top. I'm pretty sure it's going to default to something like this. So, unless I can get the ultimate full screen to fix that. So we need to determine what's like the overall size of that. Oh, how many pixels is that? Alright. Well, anyway. Something to think about. So 640 by 360 would theoretically work just to get the base window into any screen size we see here. Because multiplying that by 2 would give us our 1280 by 720, which would easily fit most of the other screen sizes and just, you know, be an exact match for here. However, like I mentioned before, the window itself is also a bit of a challenge, because if we do reduce it by this, we are also cutting the playable screen space down by, I think, about, how much is that? Yeah, this is basically a 20% decrease in the overall playable screen size so that we can do this. So if we want decreases window by minus 20%. The next highest up would actually be my monitor size, which is this one. So we divide both these values by 2. Works for all except 1280 by 720. This would be actually, wait, 683 by, I don't need a calculator for this. 768 divided by 2 is 384. Except one problem with that is, while this is technically a 16:9 ratio, it's not exactly evenly divisible into it. So we'd need a ratio that's 72. No. So I think it would be sit 72 by 378. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a 16:9 ratio. In that case, the window size would be divided by 800. So it'd be minus 16% of the window size. And finally, if we've got this 40 by 360, that does pose potential problem with, like I was saying earlier, the window bar. Now we need some way to determine how big this is, and I think the easiest way to do that is actually to line it up right here against top right here. You see, because I actually know this would be a 32 by 32 pixel image, therefore it's literally another 48 pixels on top of that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, if we were to account for banner, we'll need to test whether the ultimate full screen object centers the window on screen while moving the window frame off screen. If it does, we can use this window size. If it does not, then we will need to reduce the window size to a point that an additional pixels are available above the window. If the above doesn't work, window size would need to be reduced to and then out my calculator real quick. So it's divided by 9 times 16, 544. 544 divided by 800. Oh dear, that's where it would start to really hurt. That'd be a 32% decrease in screen size. Yeah, I feel like we could live with a 20% decrease, but like a 32% decrease, that would definitely affect range combat. So from what we're doing with all our calculations here, the best from what I'm seeing, I think the best compromise at the moment is this one. So aiming for a window size of 640 by 360. So for now, that'll be our target. So that means our next order of business start creating the program. So done. Okay. So next, now we actually get into programming land. So create a program using the ultimate scroll full screen object that allows us to resize a window to 2 times. Okay, first things first. Gotta save this. So give me 1 second, chat, while I do that. So I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that, chat. Just needed to save that file. So now we have our window resizing test frame right here. And we are going to... We're going for the 16:9 ratio here. So in this case, we need 640 by 360. Ah, that's handy. Some very common sizes I'm seeing here. Okay, and there we go. We have our nice little 16:9 sized frame here. Next thing we'll do, I'm going to copy over some stuff from Heartwell. So let's go on over to here. And basically all we're trying to do is get an indication of how things will look. Copy that. So this isn't like to make a playable space here. This is more so just to have some graphical assets here to be able to identify it. And Copper Nicholson has redeemed a read a message. Read a message as fee. The Steam compiler release has 3 new major features. It supports the new chunk encryption, Mode 4. It supports the new events header structure in the latest releases of Fusion 2.5, and also compresses the keep reading. Oh, right. This is required for large games like Sister Location because Fusion 2.5 does not support MFAs larger than 4 GB as it is a 32-bit program. I also add some quality of life features, like the MFA file being automatically named according to the game title string instead of always being called out.mfa. Ah, I see you're basically writing like the patch notes for one of the Fusion 2.5 updates, I imagine, Copper Nicholson. Okay, next thing we'll do, and this is just to get an idea, because we need to see what the graphical ramifications will be here. We have a backdrop here. It's not meant to be just a visual aid for us. So we want Dorothy towards the center of the screen. even though visually this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, it doesn't have to. The point is to have some way of seeing what the graphics will look like when we stretch things out. So now that we have that, we need an object. In this case, we need a new object. Ultimate. I might have removed it. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Ah. I believe I'm going to have to... It's not going to be a simple install, so 1 second, chat. Let me take care of this. I'll be right back. All right, 1 second, chat. I'm just in the midst of downloading the ultimate full screen object. Okay, I'll just be taking care of this real quick. So I'll be back, chat. Alrighty, sorry about that, chat. I just needed to get everything all installed here, so I think... Oh, there it is. There's the ultimate full screen extension. But also, once again, I open it up as well so we can get the code. Something that comes with the ultimate full screen object is the creator of the ultimate full screen object actually has an example file. So we can use that to kind of at least get an idea. So with all that being said, let's return back here. And let's take a look at just how the code's working. What is this? Oh, that's just an active object. Okay. Oh, it's a way to explain how to decompile things. I see, Copper Nicholson. I see. Okay. Well, first things first. We need to insert an object. In this case, we need the ultimate full screen object. All right. Thank you. To work properly, this object requires that the following... okay, that's not going to be important. Application properties be set. Resize display to fill window size. Okay. Let's make a note of that. Note: the project must have the following settings: ultimate full screen objects to work properly. For me's chat while I go write this information down. It's going to be important for developing stuff. Copper Nicholson says, read a message as Laura. Each bot is a tiny, roughly 1-inch tall PVC plastic toy that converts from a robot into some other object in a few short steps. Though accessories are exceedingly rare in the line, many bots have hands that are compatible with accessories 3mm posts. Woo? Each character belongs to a themed team depending on the store their alternate mode is found in. Bots easily have the highest percentage of Transformers in the cast of any Transformers toy line, by a stunningly wide margin. Alright, so where were we? Oh yeah. Resize display to fill window size. Yes. Heading when maximized. No. Menu bar. No. I'm also realizing since the heading when maximized is not going to be there, I think that also means we are going to need to add an action to add a quit button. Consider adding a quit button to the main menu and the manifest. Since the heading will no longer be available. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now we need to get into full screen land. So all we need, chat, is some code to where if I press a button, it sets the full, like, our window to 2x. So if I were just to run this frame, obviously nothing happens here. There's no code here. It's just a static image, basically. We would need to make it so that this would resize to 2x if I were to... Well, the good news is it does seem to be centering, so that's good. Okay. Let's run some tests by first going to our full screen example. Let's examine the code. While using flat. Let's take a look at the code. And various floating values for the background. Yeah, it's just for buttons, so ignore all that. That's not important. This will scale. Just use 1-to-1 mode. Okay, I think I understand what's going on. Let's see if I can make this work. So let's add a condition. Keyboard. Upon pressing a key. Let's say upon pressing a key, Q. Then let's bring over some code here. Okay, so basically we want Fullscreen type to be 0, since I believe that's going to be the pixel perfect. And game scale, we're going to set to 2. So, let's go here. Let's set the game scale to 2. Point out. That seems to be how they handle it over here. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. So I'm in frame. I pressed run frame. I pressed Q. Nothing happened. That's disconcerting. Okay. Did I set all the things right? Let's check the settings. Oh, I've got it inverted. I have it inverted, I think. Let's see here. So I think it's actually, we want set full screen type to best fit will fit, integer only, stale, 1-to-1, match, manual set. Okay. Let's try 1 and see what happens. Nope. 1-to-1. Nothing has happened. Okay. I'm clearly doing something wrong. We have all the settings correct. Maximized on boot up. Resize display to fill window. Heading when maximized. No. Whoa. Okay, hold on. I made a horrible mistake. I was hoping to... Do I have to maximize window on boot up? I think I might have to. Well, I have made a horrible mistake. I don't know what I did. Let's go. Okay, set this type to 0. What is happening? Fullscreen, why you do this? Okay. That surprisingly looks good, but I don't know, where's like the beginning and end of the screen here? I'll change this to a start of frame condition. I'm having trouble understanding exactly what's going on here, so let's add quick backdrop objects. Let's spread that out a bit. Well, this is me just testing out the ultimate full screen object. So I press Q. Okay. Wow, that actually... Interesting, chat. Look at that. I literally just pressed Q once and it found like a good, I guess, middle ground to automatically set the pixel art to the correct size. Although I am noticing a little bit of stretching here. I wonder why that is. I know it's... I can't be the only one who sees that, right? Let's try. Has to be 1-to-1. I do that. That doesn't quite work. Okay. Let's try 2. Let's see here. Okay, so 2 is just basically saying it to what it should look like by default. So that's not bad, except for one very key thing, and that's that this needs to be scaled by 2. So let's try to fix that. 2.0 is default scale. Okay. So why is that happening? So chat, am I seeing things, or is this pixel right here being like stretched? That looks a little bit stretched. Or does it always look like that? Okay. Well, I mean, at least looking at the background looks reasonable, I think. So let's take an argument. Let's give this just an 8-direction movement so I can have something to test. Okay, so looking at Dorothy here, I think, yeah, okay, there definitely is some stretching here. Why does it do that? Like, you see it, chat, right? This one pixel right here, it's stretching. I don't know why. Yeah, now you can see it. Like, why? Why does this do that? Like, it's supposed to be a scalar. Like, it shouldn't be. How many weird pixel things like that happening? I wonder why it does that, though. Why is it having that stretching in that one particular spot? Especially for like the main character. Okay, let's try Pixel Perfect then. Well, that zoomed in a bit too much. I mean, no, it's still been the same issue, I think. Yep, there it is. You can kind of see it right here. Like that, the stretching. I don't know why it's stretching. Is it the end of the world? No, but it is somewhat annoying. Why would it be stretching? The interesting about this chat is it doesn't look like it's not the background that gets stretched, it's just Dorothy that gets stretched. But why though? Like you see here, like Dorothy's head's now wider for some reason. First here looks fine, and then try a 1.0 scale. Okay. Oh, you know what? Oh no, that doesn't quite work. Because right now I'm trying to find the moments where it's like, it looks weird. Oh, yep, there. Chad, if you have any ideas as to why why the stretching might be happening right here, I'm all ears, but because I feel like this would happen a lot for the main character if you know, if they're always center of screen. Yeah, it's what's happened to Dorothy's face? No. Why does it do that? Okay, let's think. Why would it be doing that? It's trying to... I don't have to look into that. So, chat, this is kind of what I was hoping to avoid, is something like this, where we have things look like the pixel art is clearly being stretched, at least on Dorothy, but I don't know why. Like, what about the active object is causing this to happen? Like at the center of the screen. Like they're like line at the center of the screen, we get like extra pixels here. I don't know why. Let's close that window. Observation, while quick backdrop objects do not have any with this animation structure tear when they are close to the center line of the frame, and I don't know why. We need some documentation. All right, chat. For the sake of argument, I'm actually going to pull up the example just to see if it has any tearing issues. Like at the center of the screen. So right now we're in best fit 1x. Now that's 2x. That's 1x. 4x. 3x. 4x. We're looking for tearing. It doesn't seem like it's tearing, but that's what's confusing. Like, why would Dorothy's images be tearing if this isn't? Then we go best pixel fit. Best fit. Best pixel fit. Let's do 4x. Whoa. I almost wonder, for best fit, what if we had no scalar? Like, maybe the scalar's the problem? Like, just ignore the game scale. I think we still have the problem. Yeah, it's still there. Why does it do that? Why does it do it? Does she top her Nicholson? Because this eye is clearly wider than the other one. And yes, it does matter for the sake of quality, because right now it's like you're seeing some weird stretching in Dorothy's face when we're moving the thing here. She looks perfectly fine. She does not look perfectly fine. Her face is stretched. That's what's so confusing to me. Is there something about the active object being used in the example that's not being applied here? That's what I need to figure out. That's what's confusing about this, is because it seems like the background art is fine, but this isn't. Well, I'm saying just because of the full screen object's effects here. Is there... Excellent. Set its position. Oh, that's changing the position of that. Oh, I think this is it. I think we just need to set the wait, didn't we already do that? Yeah, we already did that, so that didn't work. Well, let's sake of argument, just run a bunch of tests on the different modes to see if any of them work. Okay. W seems to be... Did that work? No, what? Why? Why you do this? I mean, E is default. W, E, what? Oh. What if I did E, but made it a 2 times scalar? Would that work, or would we just end up with the same problem? Hold on. Okay. Yep. Okay. So we do that. Yeah, it's... So, what is happening? Why does it tear? Why does it tear? Why does it do that? Why? So chat, if you're wondering why I'm being so fixated on this, it's because, again, whenever, like, Dorothy's always going to be center of the screen, which means it'll constantly look kind of like... Actually, I could, like, hold on. Since Dorothy's basically always going to be center of screen or close to center of screen. Let's do start frame condition. Well, Copper Nicholson, are you viewing the stream on a computer or on a phone? Because if you're viewing on the phone, the detail might be too small for you to notice. But if you're viewing on a computer with a decent resolution, you'd see the stretching that I'm talking about. Let's see here. Okay, and what this should do is this should make sure Dorothy starts at the center of the screen. And make sure that Dorothy's facing downward at the start of frame. Yep, there we go. So now, as we were editing things, yeah, you'll see, using a desktop computer. All right, well, you'll see, chat, like, at default mode, you know, everything looks fine, everything's totally normal. Then I press increase size, and suddenly that. So I'm trying to think of what exactly is happening here. Since it seems to be unique to Dorothy's active object and not to actually the screen itself, because as best as I can tell, everything else seems to be working just fine. Then again, what could this be? Like, is it the end of the world? No, but I would like it to look normal and not stretched. Because there is a little bit of stretch in here. I don't know how to fix it. Okay. I wonder if this honestly might be a question for the Clickteam forums. Because, like, I mean, at this point, chat, we at least have the, like, we are demonstrating here the ability to get the ultimate Fullscreen Object to work as intended for most things. Let's run some tests then for science. First and foremost, I don't know exactly where the center of the screen is, but let's try something like that. Okay. So what we're trying to see is whether or not the other pixel is being stretched. Oh, yeah, it totally is. Okay, so it's not just a Dorothy problem. You can actually see it here quite easily. So chat, if you pay very close attention to this brick where my mouse is, you'll notice that that brick has 2 pixels instead of 1 like the bricks all around it. That is screen stretching. Now, I don't know exactly why that's happening. If we're supposed to be doing a scalar multiple of this. Like, it's weird because, like, I zoom in with our best fit here, and it, no, it's still stretching. Okay, what is happening? Yeah. So here it's like, okay, totally normal. I zoom in, suddenly silliness has occurred. I don't know why. Okay. We can try the other modes just to see. I wonder if manual settings might help. So if I do set the manual settings, what are my options? Okay, well, let's try this out. So that's best fit, that's 1-to-1 best fit, that's default, that's something else, something else. Oh, that's manual mode. Yeah, manual mode's even worse. Not working. Okay. Hey chat, if you guys have any ideas why screen tearing might be occurring, I'm what have we said? I doubt this would change anything, but let's see. Does that... What? Why does that look normal, but that doesn't? Huh. This is peculiar. All right, what else can you do? Full screen mode. That didn't work. Okay. Are you increasing the game window size? Hello, VC7, nice to drop by. How's it going? So, what we're doing here is we're using an object called the active full screen object. Well, sorry, the ultimate full screen object to essentially make the window much bigger than the viewable screen area, but making it so that the playable area is enlarged in a sense. The problem with this, though, that we're running into, I'll show you, is screen tearing. So this is how it should look. Everything's pixel perfect. It looks perfectly normal. But if I were to apply a scalar multiplier of 2x, in theory you would think, okay, that would just make it so everything is twice as big, right? Well, yes, it's that for the middle here, which, as you can see, Dorothy is stretched out a bit in the vertical and horizontal directions, and it's even affecting like the pixel art as well. That is a phenomenon of screen tearing, and the reason why I'm paying so much attention to this right now is because the way this game is played, Dorothy is almost always going to be in the center of the screen, which means you'll be seeing this if you're zoomed in like this. Now, is this like the end of the world? No, but I can imagine other people playing this and be like, huh, the character looks a bit weird, but otherwise playing it. Was Dorothy a vector image? So, no, and it can't be a vector image because of this software only uses raster images. However, my point is that shouldn't be happening because this is supposed to, it's supposed to be a pixel perfect increase. It's a scalar. So like what I mean is I'm using a scalar that's divisible by 1. Or I guess everything's divisible by 1. Basically a scalar multiplier that doesn't have a decimal. So it shouldn't look like this. It should look basically like this, but zoomed in. That's what's so confusing about this. Like, with all the different options. I mean, this is an example of like being zoomed in and everything looks perfectly normal, but it's too zoomed in. Whereas we go to here, now it looks a bit weird again, but W is like pixel perfect, it looks totally normal. But like, wait, did that fit? No, it didn't fit it. It's, yeah, no, it's still a problem. Why does it do that? I don't understand. I don't understand. Okay. Well, shenanigans are happening. Okay. I don't get it. Methinks we need some debugging. Okay, let's see. What's weird about this is, like, in the full screen example, like, we have some, obviously we have lots of pixel art here. So if I run this example, you'll notice that there doesn't appear to be any, like, screen tearing going on here. Actually, wait, I have an idea. Hold on. Let's put that to the test. We'll do that. We'll come here. Wait a minute. Why isn't Dorothy visible? Oh, because of our, hold on. There we go. Oh, we saw. All right, this is a jet example. We actually do see that there is some screen tearing here. Yeah. Okay, so this is just. I see. I think this is just an inherent problem with the software, then perhaps. I take it back. This is not an inherent problem with the software. Look at that. It looks fine. Why doesn't it look fine when I do it? I don't get it. What do you want from me? What do you want from me, software? Okay. Let's think about this. So why does this look fine but the other one doesn't? That's what we gotta figure out. So, while we're thinking about that, I think I'll take a quick bio break, so don't worry, guys. I will be right back. Hmm. All right, chat. Welcome back, everyone. So I did some. I decided to, after I got back to the bathroom, I decided to do some looking into things, and I think I might have found the problem. So the problem I don't think is in the code. I actually think it's the screen size. So our screen size is a 16:9 ratio. In this case, 640 by 360. So obviously these are both divisible by 16 and 9 respectively, it should get 40. However, something I noticed with this frame size, this actually isn't a 16:9 ratio, because if we were to multiply 160 times 16 and then divide by 9, we actually would not end up with 384. Rather, this multiplier is 2.4. So what I'm thinking is, if we change our screen size here to be multiplicative of 2.4, then we'd actually have something that works. So keep that in mind. Look at our values here. Yeah, the only problem is if we do that, we're going to have to reduce the screen size further. And for the sake of argument, if I do 360 times 2.4 is 864, so let's go. If we do that, obviously things look weird right now. I do a best fit. It looks fine, but obviously, okay, no, it's still stretching when we multiply it out. That didn't work. All right, you know what? Here's a test. 384 by 160. Let's do 384 by 160. Let's see what happens. So now if we run this frame, you go to best fit. best fit looks good. So what is so special about 384 by 160? Is the problem just the scaler? Like, is the 2x scaler bugged? Hold on. Oh, sorry, Chad. I just realized that I had the VR bat screen still up. Sorry about that, chat. But anyway, what I was trying to say is, I think the 2x scaler might be bugged. Let's to test that out, let's do 3. Okay. So this is best fit. If I go here, now we're just in raw inputs. Yeah. Why is that? Why does the 2x scaler look wonky, but the 3x scaler looks fine? Okay. So what we have learned, chat, is that I think the 2x scaler is the 2x scaler looks fine. Does it look fine here? Hard to tell. You know, best fit looks weird, but best fit looks fine. Okay, what is best pixel fit in this case? It's so your picture is 300 DPI. The 2x scaling may result in torn image, but we're for. So what is DPI for my understanding? I've heard the term before, but what does that mean? My picture is 300 DPI. Okay, so when you're saying DPI, is that just something unique to my computer, or is that something we can control? Dots per inch. Okay, so you're saying this is a problem unique to my particular screen. It's unique to a particular image. I'm confused. I'm not following. So what I'm trying to understand is if I were to take this to a different computer that has a different screen resolution overall, it might look fine. No? Okay, so you're saying it will look exactly the same. Okay, then. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Okay, a lot of talent in. Tell me about DPI. Okay. Oh, that's different. Hold on. Hold on. That is different. Display mode is standard. Display mode. That might be it. Hold on. Hold on. So we do that. We're back up. Okay, 2. Let's try it. Well. Aha! Chat! We fixed it! We fixed it! Look at it! Look at it! It's glorious! It looks perfect! It was a display setting. Okay, we learned something, chat! We learned something! How about that? So DPI is dots per inch. Let's assume that your screen is 10 inches by 10 inches. Let your pixel density be 100 DPI, so you would have 10 columns and 10 rows pixels holding on. Gotcha. Well, thanks for the explanation, Vsauce. But I believe we have found the problem. So the problem was what Clickteam was defaulting to in the runtime options. So if the display mode was not standard, it was like DirectX 9, it was causing some problems. What I don't know is if I change if I change the display mode from standard to, I am going to have to look up what the ramifications of that might be for Heartwell, if it's going to like affect performance or something. But otherwise, that's really important. Important note. Oh. Important note. You must. Oh, we'll put this here as well. Display mode in the runtime options tab. Standard. If it is set to direct 3D9 or direct 3D8, you will get pixel image tearing at the horizontal and vertical center lines. To ensure no pixel art, no screen tearing occurs. Oh, thank you for the Dorothy hearts. That's one of my that's one of my favorite emotes. Dorothy hearts are adorable. Important. Nope. Yeah, I cannot emphasize this note enough because that was infuriating us for like the past 40 minutes. Okay, so we have learned things. What we have learned is when everything's set to standard, because I'm just going to imagine it's probably not set to standard by default. Yeah, of course it's not. Okay. I don't want to change it right now, because I mean, we could change it right now, but I feel like please don't break everything. Please don't break everything. It seems to be okay. Hold on. Sorry, chat. We're gonna be running a quick test. Basically, I'm trying to make sure I don't. Let's go with our testing application. Obviously, so we're seeing all these icons here because, wait. Did I set those all to be invisible? Hold on. Wait. Did this affect? Did this affect visibility settings? I think it might have. Well then. I just wanted invisible walls. Is that so much to ask? Well, no, it's not that the tiles broke, it's that they're visible now. So without the direct 3D9, it's... how do I make this, like, truly invisible? Yeah, so the problem here is that we can actually see all these X's, whereas if we were to switch to direct reading 9, I think that would make it so these would be invisible then. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well then. Let's try direct 38. Go to runtime. So due to direct 3D8. Let me try running the application. Okay. I don't seem to be having any tearing with direct 3D8 that I can see anyway. Yeah, must be just a bug with direct 3D9 in that. Wait. No, is it always looks like that? Reset the ROM! Reset the ROM. Okay. Alright, I don't see any tearing. Let's try direct. Okay, let's try. That seems to work. Let's try direct 3D8 then. Yeah, okay, so direct 3D8. Fascinating. Okay. Did anything weird happen with the rattles? Let's find out. Everything seems to be working as normal. Okay, we've learned something, chat. So the saying we need is direct 3D8. Since for whatever reason, direct 3D9 seems to be bugged. At least with the ultimate Fullscreen Object. I wonder what direct 3D8 or 3D9 means. It's probably some kind of program that I would have to look up. But essentially, what we have learned today, chat, is that the ultimate full screen, with the ultimate full screen objects, the display mode matters too. So when it was set to direct 3D9, which is what Fusion 2.5 defaults to at this point in time, it causes screen tearing for some reason. And I don't know why, but saying it's a direct, but on the other hand, we can't just set the standard, because if we set the standard, then we have no way of making our invisible backdrop tiles invisible, and that will require a massive rework. So thus, the compromise seems to be direct 3D8. Direct 3D8. Important notes. If it is set to standard, you won't get pixel image tearing, but quick/active, but quick backdrop objects, i.e. walls, impassable walls, will not be able to be made invisible. Yeah, I feel like in the span of like the past 10 minutes, my mind has just been like exploded from what we have just learned about the ultimate full screen objects and Fusion 2.5. Like, none of that I don't think was in the patch notes. I should make like a post on the internet say, don't use Direct 3D9, it's a troll, like it's broken. Like we have learned a lot today. Like Direct 3D8 is superior. It's the best of both worlds. Okay. Let's put the music back on. Look what you found out right. DS8/DS9 is based on what your video card supports. If your card supports DS9/DS10, as does the game, you'll see a graphical quality boost, and depending on how much detail you increase versus the power of your card, you may see slow down right. Personally, you think anything about 60 FPS is a bit silly. Most monitors function at 60 FPS. Fair enough. Well, I mean, the game's running at 60 FPS, or supposedly anyway, so that's what we're going with. But I do think that is interesting though. So it's like, it depends on what the graphics card supports. So that's in my case, because my graphics card, maybe it's not supporting DirectX 9 for some reason, it's causing shenanigans to happen. Whereas DirectX 8 is supported. That is fascinating though. I would hope that earlier versions, quote unquote, are easier to support. But anyway, I want to put a note here. So, what we've learned today, chat, Direct 3D8 is the way to go. Apparently, DirectX 8 and 11 are popular in DS9 as meh. That explains so much. That explains so much. So, in other words, what you're saying basically is DirectX 8 is basically like the Windows 7. And DirectX 9 is like Windows 10 before it got all its patch updates. That's what I'm getting from this. It's that like DirectX 9, it's tried, it's tested, it works. I'm sorry, DirectX 8, it's tried, it's tested, it works. Whereas DirectX 9 is like they try to add features, but maybe some weird stuff happens. That makes so much sense. Well, regardless, appreciate you looking into that, Vsauce. We've got actually great progress now, because not only have we changed the Heartwell mode to DirectX 8, which will that affect performance in any positive or negative way? Who knows? But what I do know... Well, actually, wait. We could test this out real quick. One second. So, might be saying, Antomicx, why are you testing the game right now? I want to see if on my my higher end PC, if anything happens when I go to the lower well. Alright, seems fairly normal. I don't feel any noticeable slowdown, at least on my PC. I know on lower end PCs, or lower performing PCs, like this lower well is a big resource, takes a lot of resources. Okay, yeah, it feels exactly the same for me. even though you can see like the jumping objects up there in the top left corner. Well, actually, no, it's in full screen mode right now, but well, I mean full screen mode on stream. There's no way to make this truly full screen in Okay, everything seems normal. Let's make sure XP is looking normal. So 1 second. All right, that all looks normal. No weird stuff happening. Okay. All right. So yeah, everything seems to be totally normal in a good way, not a silly way. So we switched to at 3D. I will make a note here. Note, you switched the display mode in the Heartwell Demo application from Direct 3D9 to Direct 3D8. Thus far, it has not caused any performance issues or issues with pixel art being visible / invisible. If you know, is anything strange happening during your future testing, try switching back to Direct 3D9. However, if using the ultimate full screen objects, you must use Direct 3D8 to avoid pixel tearing. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, hope you guys have fun discussing other characters that you're writing or have written about in the past. But anyway, what I was mentioning before is we fixed it. We know what's going on. So the setting we want is this. I think if I get let's see, if I delete this, what happens when we go into full screen mode? So I press W, everything looks totally normal. Okay. So what have we learned? We have learned that DirectX 9 is awful, it's terrible, it doesn't do its job, it should be put into the corner so that I can think about what it has done, because Direct 3D8 make sure we don't have screen tearing and we can get zoom in like this. So that means there's potential, chats. No more pixel tearing. We can have all the shenanigans, all of them. Sorry, not shenanigans, but what I'm getting at is we can have the screen size that we need. So now, chat, we need to determine the most important thing. What should, oh, right. Sorry, you guys are seeing like full screen in a very weird way. 1 second. Let me fix that. Game captures. Is this it? I'm trying to remember which one it is. Is it this one? No, that's not that one. Is it this one? Ah, yeah, it's that one. Okay. So now you'll actually see what I see. Yeah, okay, so this is what I've been, whoops, sorry, this is what I've been seeing. So what I was going to get at, words. What, Yeah, Copper Nicholson, Visus already posted that earlier. I get that. But what I'm getting at is the most important thing here, I'm saying, unironically, what should the outer screen color be? Because I'm pretty sure we can actually adjust that. Because right now we have an outer screen, basically an outer full screen color of white. So what you're seeing here is basically the best that Fusion 2.5 can do in terms of making a quote-unquote full screen game. Now, obviously, this isn't true full screen. As you can see here, like, I'm running off frame. So, you know, this is the best we can do to get truly pixel perfect framing. But it's still a lot better than it was. Now the real question is, like, what should the outer thing be? Currently, I'm thinking we should honestly make it, the outline should be black, just so that it's very obvious that that's not part of the game. But let's see if we can change that. So how do I change the, I'm gonna guess it's the background color. Let's find out. No, okay, it is not that. Maybe it's something with a Fullscreen Object. Miscellaneous. Screen. Oh wait. This might actually be a saying that's just on the object itself. 1 second. Let's find out. No, not seeing anything. And there has to be a way to customize it, right? Surely. Surely there's a way to customize it. Okay. Yeah, it's because it's dark there, so okay. What is different? What do the difference be? Oh, that there it is. Found it. We have to set the border color to that. I mean, I see no reason not to do the same with the Heartwell Demo thingy. There we go. Look at it. No, I found it. See, now we have that nice dark outline on the edge, so it's like it's all cinematic, like a movie. Whee! Okay. Let's turn the music back on. Okay, so what we have learned, we need to set the, where is it? Oh, I already did for this. Huh. Well, that actually works out perfectly. All right, no worries there. Now, we have done all that. We have set our external our border color. And now it's just the programming. So basically, set full screen type to 1 and set scale to 1.0. So this is what we want, our best pixel fit set to scale 1. That's the code, which unironically is actually a very simple code. It was just getting everything else around it to function properly that was the challenge. So quite literally, if we want to readjust this code into like a quote-unquote finalized code, let's just create a nice little group of events, and we'll call it we'll call it ultimate full screen settings. Or because realistically, all this up here is fluff. The only thing we need is this for setting it to our quote-unquote ultimate full screen, and then we need a version to set it to windowed mode. So whoops. That fits it. Oh. How do I go to windowed mode? May I have to set to 0? Mayhaps. I don't know why it decides to do that. Maybe it's 1-to-1. I just want a windowed mode. Is that so much to ask? Nope, that didn't fit it either. Okay. So right now the challenge is just basically making so that if I press a button, we set it back to being a regular window. Since by default, it's not doing that. Manual settings? Whoa. I mean, right now it seems like it should just be a simple go full screen, go window, be done with it, so to speak. But it does that. Nope, that didn't work at all. Why? I know what it should be, it's just not doing it correctly. Oh wait, no, that's the position, we need size. No. Let's try setting the manual full screen size to 640 and 360s. No. Why? Why I do this? Can you set the size manually? I can, but it doesn't, Oh, right. Do I have to set to manual mode? That might be it. Nope, that didn't work either. Hey, there we go. That looks good. Now everything looks correct. Okay. Now for my own sanity, if I were to delete that, and delete that. Okay, no, it just defaults to it, I don't. Yeah, look at that, chat. Smooth. Whee! Neato. Very neato. Okay, well, that's our code. Or at least that's our base code. Literally, chat, 3 hours! I will let you know. We went through 3 hours, and what have we accomplished? This. They say there's a beauty in simplicity, okay? They say there's a beauty in simplicity. And this right here is it. With just 2 lines of code, we have the power. So does this mean we have a full screen patch coming soon? No, it does not. Not in the slightest. And the reason I say that is, like, is there going to be a full screen patch coming? Yes. Will it be soon? No. And the reason for that, keep in mind, in order to have a quote-unquote full screen patch coming, we would need to complete all of this. All right? And the biggest time sink is going to be examining the code to find areas that need to be reprogrammed. right now we're here. Right, as we did this. So we have base code to work with. Now we're here, and this is going to take a while. As we need to examine code, we're probably gonna have to change some UI, create some new things, but that's progress, chat. We discovered some important, we resolved some very important bugs. Let's just add a comment here to the full screen settings. Okay. Sorry, chat, I'm just writing some notes. Maximized on boot up. Well, I will say it did take a while, chat, but we did learn a lot this stream. So let's add a comment. So first, line 1, because documentation is important. Sets the game to full screen mode with a pixel perfect best fit at a scale of 1.0x. Line 2 sets the game to windowed mode at the default screen resolution. Important notes. Change the upon pressing W and pressing X lines okay. So important notes for implementation. Plans with the conditional code for when the frame should or should not be in full screen mode. Most likely to be a save file value in the save file array where 0 equals full screen and 1 equals windowed. Only copy over the code in the full screen settings of events. Must copy this code to every frame in the Heartwell demo, and add the ultimate Fullscreen Object. Okay. Well, chat, like I said, took us a while, but there's beauty in simplicity. A simple 2 lines of code to be added, that'll to get ourselves a bigger window size. I think that's a win in my book, especially since when I was messing around with like the ultimate Fullscreen Objects, like probably well over a year ago, that whole screen tearing thing was what made me hesitate about it a lot. But now I see, now that we finally found a solution to that, and it was actually pretty simple, just changing to Direct3D 8 rather than Direct3D 9 in terms of the display mode. That's got me excited to actually getting this implemented. So I want to thank you all very much for bouncing ideas off of things tonight, because you know, you all helped give me you all helped me keep moving forward. Y'all gave me some great ideas, and that's what ultimately allowed us to make this very crucial step towards one of the biggest pieces of constructive feedback we had from the Heartwell demo, and that was make the screen larger. So I think we're on the right track at here, chat. I think we can pick up with this on the next dev stream to keep trying to move forward with this by identifying the areas that are going to be affected, and hopefully in a couple of dev streams, probably within a few months, hopefully, and fingers crossed, because I do feel like this is going to be examining the code and identifying things. I think it's going to be a lot more than we think it is. So this is probably going to take a lot of time, but I think we're on the right track. So, thank you all. So, at this point, though, I am going to be wrapping things up. So, if you're watching on Twitch, feel free to stick around for a raid. But if you're watching on YouTube and you like what you saw, please consider subscribing on YouTube. It's free to subscribe on YouTube. You can always change your mind later, and it's a great way to show support. If you're watching on YouTube, I hope you have an amazing night.